If you're wanting to know exactly what it takes to load 7mm PRC, you're in the right place. Gavin here from UltimateReloader.com. I just finished building 2 full custom rifles for 7mm PRC and have just started reloading for it. I'm having a ton of fun with it. I want to share some insights with you. In this video, we're going to cover a quick recap of 7mm PRC, kind of what is it and some high-level specs. We're going to talk about what equipment and supplies are going to lend themselves to loading 7mm PRC. We're going to get a little bit more specific about bullet selection and powder selection. But before that, you're going to want to check out what's going to be covered in the entire series, including a high-level overview of 7PRC, a comparison of all 3 different PRC cartridges, reloading for the PRC, my full custom bat build, my full custom Bergara build, a rifle builder's guide for 7mm PRC, and more. So, before we get into the reloading specifics, let's talk some high-level specs around 7mm PRC. This was announced October 26th at the NASGW show. It's using a 7mm 284 projectile, of course. Case length is 2.280 inches. Cartridge overall length is 3.340 inches. So it's the same max cartridge overall length as 300 Win Mag and is slightly shorter than 30-06. The case head is a standard 532-inch Magnum, which is same as 300 Win Mag, same as 6.5 PRC, same as 300 PRC. 30-degree shoulder angle. It takes a large rifle Magnum primer. Recommended twist rate is 1 in 8, which gives you a lot of flexibility with bullets. Velocity is about 3,000 feet per second for a 180 grain projectile, and there is no belt. That makes your life a little bit easier when it comes to reloading. So on the equipment and supplies end of the equation, let's talk reloading presses. The press must have a capacity of 3.340 inches or greater. So on the single stage side, that's going to mean pretty much any press, like any of the presses I showed in the 14 press single stage shootout, but may not be suitable with all of the smaller or micro presses, hand presses, utility presses, that kind of thing. So really, you need to check to make sure that you have that 3.340 inch capacity. On the progressive side, I just looked back at my progressive press shootout published earlier this year and found the following presses fall within this capacity range. The Hornady Lock and Load AP. I've shown that with 30-06 ammunition loading. Dillon XL 750, and I've shown the 650 with the 30-06 scenario. The RL 550C, and then the RCBS Pro Checker 5 and Pro Checker 7. All of those will be able to handle this 3.340 inch max cartridge overall length capacity. Okay, aside from the press, here's some other equipment and supplies that you're going to want to specifically think about with regard to loading 7mm PRC. Your shell holders are going to be your standard Magnum .532 inch. Now that could be a shell plate if you're on a progressive. It could be a standard shell holder if your press uses those, or if you're using the competition primer seeder like I do, or a hand priming tool, you might need the flat shell holders that are specific to those tools in a standard Magnum size. Dies, I have been using the Hornady 2-die set that was supplied with the rifle builder's kit that I got as a part of the preview. The Hornady dies are going to work well. I'm also looking at the Short Action Customs modular dies for sizing and for seating. I got to check to see which of those apply. I just had some show up at the shop, so I'm excited to give those a try. And not sure who else is going to be building dies, but I'm sure there's going to be other options as well. Your powder measure is going to need in the 50 to 80 grain range for powder charges. A case gauge is usually recommended. You can also use your rifle's chamber for that. Primers are going to be large rifle Magnum. I'm using these Federal, these are 215, I believe. Yes, GM 215M is the official designation for that. So those are the match Magnum large rifle. Powders are going to be in the Magnum burn range, and bullets are going to be 7mm in the 150 to 195 range. That is what I saw with reference load data from Hodgdon. Okay, bullets. Let's get a little bit more specific. I wanted to start with the fact that the factory ammunition that I was supplied with as a part of the technical preview was the 180 ELDM match ammunition and the 175 ELDX Precision Hunter ammunition. The first two groups that I put through the Bat Full Custom Rifle were in like .372, I think, for the match, and about a ½ inch for the ELDX Hunter ammunition, which is really good. Those are just literally the first two groups that I shot with the rifle on paper after sight-in. So really impressive. And I mentioned the factory ammunition because that's a hint from Hornady as to what's going to work well and what kind of performance you should expect. These numbers, I saw a little bit more velocity because I was using a 28-inch barrel, and they specify a 24-inch barrel for their testing, which would be a lot more common for something like a long-range hunting rifle. Okay, so ideal 7mm PRC bullets, obviously they're going to be 7mm. The weight will be in that 150 to 195 grain range, and you're going to want to check for stabilization. Now, a 1-in-8 twist for a 7mm barrel is fast. It's very fast. So chances are you're not going to have any problem. I know these 190 grain A-tips will stabilize in a 1-in-8. Says right on their recommended twist rate, 1-in-8. And that's why I worked specifically with Bartline to get 1-in-8 blanks. It was a little hard to find. They had to be custom made for me. There might be off-the-shelf SKUs. I just couldn't find any in stock that worked. I talked with Hornady. They said 1-in-8.5 would also work, but I wanted to go with the SAMI recommendation from the SAMI print. So as long as they're able to stabilize in 1-in-8 twist, and they're in approximately that weight range, you're going to do well. And you can basically, moving on to powders, use all of the standard powders you're probably used to for cartridges like 7mm mag or 300 Win mag or 6.5 PRC or 300 PRC. The data I saw from Hodgdon started at approximately position number 132 on the chart here, which is IMR 4831, and it went up to Hodgdon Retumbo on the slower end. And that's what I've been using for my initial loading so far. So the good news is if you load for magnums, you probably have powders that are already going to work. And with bullets, you can potentially look a little bit higher in the weight range because you're going to have that 1-in-8 twist most likely. It'll be interesting to see as more and more rifle OEMs come out with rifles to see what exact twist rates that they implement. I've heard of some people talking about 1 in 7.5. I think 1-in-8 is going to work great, and I'm all about starting there and then maybe experimenting a little bit, faster or slower. Okay, so in conclusion, reloading the 7mm PRC, just like loading other magnums. SAMI lists 65,000 PSI for the 7 PRC, so that gives you quite a bit of latitude for pressure. In all of my testing so far, I have not seen any pressure signs. With the factory ammunition, we've got the two rifles, the Bergara 22-inch and the Bat 28-inch barrel configurations. No pressure so far. I've gone up to max with a couple different loads, including with the 190s. Haven't seen any pressure at all. So I'm thinking I can probably push the pressure envelope a little bit more and the performance envelope a little bit higher. You're going to want to check out the comparison of performance I did comparing the 6.5 PRC to the 7 PRC to the 300 PRC because I've got some ballistics data and energy data for both match and for hunting applications. That's pretty interesting to look at. The 7 PRC, excellent performance in ballistics. I call it the all-rounder of the PRC lineup. It's comfortable in a long action. I have plenty of extra room in both of my rifles to seat the bullets long, which is awesome. And the ballistic performance is absolutely tremendous. In terms of wind drift, in terms of drop, it beats the 6.5 PRC and the 300 PRC, and that is really, really impressive. So I'd be curious to hear your feedback. I'm going to be doing more stories on the 7 PRC, and like I said, I just got started. This isn't a how-to video. This isn't a load development video. Haven't even gotten to that yet. I have very limited components. But as the story evolves, I'll be continuing to share additional content and insights. And again, I'd like to hear what you think about reloading the 7 PRC. What bullets would you pick? What rifle would you shoot it out of? What kind of performance would you be looking for? Drop a comment and we'll start a discussion. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. If you're interested in custom rifles like what we build here on the channel or gunsmithing services, you're going to want to go to rifles.ultimatereloader.com and get on the wait list. If you're interested in becoming a professional gunsmith, check out the Sonoran Desert Institute. They've got a degree program, they've got a certificate program, and you can study from home. Learn more at sdi.edu. Thanks again for watching.